Christina is going to have to do better. This is so. What I'm leading up to is this disparity that everybody looks at, like, oh, a young couple can never afford a home. I hear this argument all the time, and that's the reason why we can't have children, because they just don't think they can afford it. That's not true. They're not looking at what you need to look at. So you take that home and you fix it up. Okay, you save your money. You pay somebody to fix it up. If you don't want to learn how to do it yourself, you should, because then you can take that skill and go to the next home and level up, get better at things, work together as a team. Don't give up on things. Never stop. Never ever give up. These are all things that I'm really wanting to impress upon you, that the desperation that people have about not having a home usually points to the fact that they are not looking outside of town, they're looking in town. And I know that vehicles have something to do with it, but again, here we go again. Do you need a brand new car, or do you need a car that you can work on? So that means from 2005 back are vehicles that you can work on. You can't work on 2005 Fords, not many. Some Toyotas, some Hondas, but can you afford those? You got to go and be smart about the vehicle that you get. Not desperate, smart. And not just one vehicle for one driver. You need two vehicles, two older vehicles that you can work on, or that you can afford to have somebody work on. Two for one driver. You got two drivers, you need three. That way one vehicle can be broke down and you can afford for it to be at the mechanic's place while you have another vehicle to go. And I know that is very, very possible to make it happen. I did it for all my life, and I still do. I'm trying to impress upon you this disparity, this desperateness that people have being displaced, trying to find a home, needs to change. We need to stop looking at only these type of homes where we have 250,000 and up in debt load. That is not what you need to do when you're trying to simplify your life, to get started in life. You need to start looking at other things. So that's is it going to be the camper? Maybe. Eventually the camper will need a motor, a transmission, rear end, all those things. There's nothing that doesn't wear out. Same with the van that you live out of. You will have to have some money to buy another one. You'll have to, it's just what we deal with. There is some overhead in living. And at some point, we have to decide that, hey, I'm going to end up living in a room because I don't have any more money to be spending. That's what I'm wanting to leave with you guys, and get you to see that there really is no need for all these expensive homes. It's nice, neat, but do you really need it? Particularly if it's just the two of you. Or if you're getting started, do you need that much expense? Are you going to hobble yourself from ever being able to have any money for years and years, so that you're feuding and fighting over money all the time? Trying to upgrade to the next home to have the nice furniture and all that stuff? Is that really what you want, to be happy? So happiness is not a destination. Happiness is the journey. It's not a location. Happiness is learning how to be happy with what you have. So what I'm suggesting is some of the stress that you have and that causes you to be stressed out is caused by taking on too much load. Too much house, too much car. So you have, barely able to make the payments and all the utilities and everything else. And then you got somebody that like me, that has to work on your house, and you have to put that on a credit card. It's not an abnormal thing. The average person, they say now, can't afford $1,000 emergency. 80%. So the 80-20 rule. So again, what I would want to leave with everybody is you should look into what can I do to improve the house I'm in? What can I do to lower the stress level because of lowering costs by not having as nice a home, living a little further out?
Maria's here.
Hey, the I would suggest that all of these things can be found, and it can be that you move from the mansion on the hill down to a house overlooking a river or a creek, that looking over a valley, but it's nowhere near as big. That we're all flesh and blood. It doesn't take that much for us to be happy. If those people in Malaysia, those boat people, can smile and be happy and be playful when the camera pans on them, why can't we be happy with all the wealth that we have here in this country? Does that really mean that we can't be happy because we don't live in a fancy home? No, we are walking flesh and blood, 98% water, emotions, and we're leaving all these things that we do and affecting other people. That pursuit of more and more does not give you happiness. It challenges you. It makes you stronger and better to attain those things. But what kind of wreckage do you leave in the wake of trying to get those things? Or when you take excess into certain things like Starbucks coffee and
Those things add up.
high dollar food or high dollar clothes or a high dollar car, all of those things are not going to be with you in the long haul. So I would like to leave the thoughts that it's not really necessary for all of this drive when you could have it. And I have seen mobile homes that are just elaborate on the inside. On the outside, they just don't look very good because they didn't want to pay much taxes. They don't make it look like a junk house, but they don't fix it up where it looks like they can be charged a lot for it. You understand? This is the inside is where you live. That's where you want to have your life and be happy. Your journey through life is you got hardwood floors and nice windows and beautiful interior, nice furniture because you didn't spend any money trying to look fancy. And you're in a mobile home, for goodness sake. Everybody's like, oh my God. But I promise you, there's virtually nothing, including a sunken living room, that you can't have in a mobile home that you can have in a conventional home. Okay? I have seen them all. Additions or just small homes where they took the paint off of an aluminum home from the 50s and polished it till it's chrome. On the inside is beautiful wood on the inside and just gorgeous looking little house. And they live there quite comfortably, and they, ride bicycles or go kayaking instead of being in their home all the time. They go on trips, and their home doesn't cost them much to live. These are all things we need to think about instead of loading ourselves up with homes that is not necessary to be in that price bracket when we could buy these homes for very, very little. Outside, 45 minutes, 30 minutes outside of the big town, like Kansas City, I promise you Kansas City's got high rent. But just 30 minutes outside of Kansas City, I see houses all the time for $40,000 on Facebook Marketplace. That they need work. But you could do that a little at a time. That's how you breathe in and out, a little at a time. When you set out walking, you take one step at a time. All these things can come to you. There's no need to be straining yourself to have all these nice things. Like, I can't do all that, so I have to have it all fixed up. Okay? Go ahead and do that. You're going to find that the bank is going to be making money off of you. The owner of the rental property is going to be making money off of you. That's okay if that's the way you want to live. But it's a choice that you're making, and there's no reason to be complaining about it. Everything's too high. We can't have children. Everything's too high. We can't even afford to live in our house that we had. It's because you're not seeing the opportunities that are out there. There's a ton of them, and I just looked on and this is the area that I live in is has been in the top 15 fastest growing places in the United States for it was 30 years. It's expensive here. It's not as expensive as on the coast in California or on the lake, but we have lake property too here.
And it's climbing.
It's spectacularly high. The rents here are the same as they are where my boys are in Seattle. Okay, in California, maybe not in like Sunset Beach or something, but the rents are high here, and I can go just 30 minutes from here, 45 minutes from this area, maybe an hour, and I can get inexpensive homes. I can go into Oklahoma, I can go into Missouri, I can go further east into other counties and just do the drive. Yeah, it costs you more in a car, but that car does not need to cost you more than a house. You could still, do you need that job that pays you that much if you don't have as much of an expense of a home?
And if you're a young couple looking at maybe one staying home, that's the first thing you're going to want to do is set your belt up. Cheaper housing, cheaper car.
And in vehicles, you need to find vehicles that you can work on or that your mechanic can work on. That has not been the case since 2007 other than Toyota and Honda. 2007, 2005, back is where you can work on these cars with some kind of reasonable ability. And mechanics, 88% of all mechanics are thinking about changing their trade because there's such a bad level of parts and cars. The cars cannot be worked on like they used to be able to. We need to stop buying from these companies. Okay, and we need to stop paying this high a price for homes and property. It's just clamoring one over the other, climbing over each other to get to something in the middle of town where you still sit in traffic and you still battle it out and you're paying a high price to get back to your home where you're right next door to somebody else. It's really not necessary. If you can live in a van and sell things online to pay for your way, I don't see that as unreasonable. You can do that. I'm not telling you to do that, but I'm saying if you want a home, you can get a home that needs to be worked on and save yourself the money. Why do you have to have everything really, really nice and then pay a heavy price for 30 years? Stop. Think about all this. This disparity with people that don't make enough money to buy these $400,000 homes is because you shouldn't be buying $400,000 homes. You just shouldn't be. I really don't see the need in that. If you're paying $400,000 for a home, you best be a manager of a pretty nice place. Because if you are and you're not, you're going to have a hard time. Why would you do that? Even if you're in construction, where the trades are going to be making big money. They're going to be the guys who drive pickups. All these women that are looking for a guy who's got money, he's going to be driving a pickup.
Work truck.
I promise you, he's going to be driving a truck. It don't make any sense, does it? But I promise you, it's coming. You're going to be saying that guy's going to be making $35, $45 an hour. and more, because nobody wanted to do what he's doing and still don't, unless they're put their head to the grindstone or their nose to the grindstone, they're not going to do it. So what we're heading toward is a different look. A different look. Things are going to change in the near future. Where the population level is dropping. That, nobody wants to talk about that, but everybody knew that there was a whole lot of people coming into this country, and both political parties really didn't do anything about it. Both political parties, because both of them needed more people to be here, because we're dropping to 1.6 replacement when we should be at 2.4, 2.6.
Or more.
So we're collapsing in a population. What does that mean? That means there's going to be a bunch of abandoned houses outside of town. The opportunity is there for you to get into a low costing home.
Could be a huge home too.
You might not be able to afford to live in every room. You might have to close off some. It's not a good idea, but maybe you could look into renting different sections of it. It was a huge home. I've seen them where there was a house it's actually not, it was a school, 17 bedrooms, and a gymnasium, a weight room, and kitchens, and all kinds of stuff. A great big fenced area, like 4 or 5 acres, 280,000. That was outside, in between Tulsa and not between Tulsa and Oklahoma City. So Drumright, I think the name of the town was, and this big place. They had all kinds of rooms that had already been money spent on them for $280,000. First thing I was thinking is that, man, somebody could put a flea market there, for the weekends. All that fenced in area, when you shut it down, you shut it down. I just think that we need to start looking around instead of being disparaging to one another. A mobile home is not an embarrassment. It could be a secret high-end home. It could be really, really nice on the inside. There's really no reason why it couldn't be. Spectacular, beautiful home if you wanted it to be. I've seen them over and over again. Just gorgeous on the inside. Okay? I promise you, you can be happy. The journey is happiness. It's not a destination. I want you all to understand that there are plenty of inexpensive homes out there. You just need to look at it differently. You need to be willing to do some work and not put yourself into slavery for a $400,000 home. Or say, I cannot have a child. I cannot take on any more expenses because I'm already strained. I don't want you to be discouraged about that. I want you to start looking at it differently, planning it, thinking about it. Just as if you were fixing a budget to buy that $400,000 home, look and see if you can get into one of these homes further out and how much it would cost you. What it would cost to buy a new used car every year for $2,500 instead of making $500 payments 12 months out of the year and paying taxes and insurance on that high dollar car and repairs. Believe me, they're all getting repairs. They're purposely making them so they won't survive that 100,000 mile after that 100,000 mile warranty. So maybe you can afford to buy a $2,500 car every year and not fix one. So start looking at these houses that are further out or houses that need work. You'll find that they are going to be the ones that you can get through life with. And with that, you can be happy if you set your mind and change your lifestyle. Hopefully I'm not being a bully about it. I just want to say I feel very strongly about it. That you can live in a van, that you can live in a tent, and you can live out of your car and be happy. All those things. You can do all those things. You can also live in a mobile home. You can also live in an older home that needs a lot of work, you can do these things. There's no reason why you have to put yourself in a place where you could lose your home after investing all that money in a down payment, closing costs, and then making payments and taxes. All that would be lost because you couldn't afford it. So, as a person who knows the math of rental properties and knows the math of what it takes to fix an older home, understand this over and over. I want to say there is no home that has no maintenance. There is no home. And the basic principles are somewhere between 1 and 5% of the total value of the home. 1 to 5% will be spent on the maintenance of that home every year. So if you got $1 million home and you're spending 5% of that every year, be prepared to spend it, or else it won't be $1 million home within just a few years. I was talking to somebody, they're like, we're going to buy this mobile home park. It's going to be real nice. And the first thing I'm thinking is, okay, you're buying a really nice mobile home park. Do you understand that you're going to spend more money on that one to maintain it? Because you need to keep it that level in order for it to be the nice home, mobile home park. You have to maintain it. It will not stay that nice mobile home park if you don't spend the money. Or if you have that $500,000 house, what is 10%? So 10% would be $50,000. 5% would be $25,000. Let's say 2.5% of that would be $12,500 a year that you're going to spend on maintenance and repairs. If you don't spend that, it's not going to be a $500,000 house, no matter the inflation and everything else. You're going to have to spend it, and it does not matter. I promise you got people that will argue with me, but as a guy who works on houses and repairs houses, I know those people that cheat and don't fix that home, let things go, end up taking losses whenever they go back. Or they just don't get the equity that they should get because they didn't spend it. They didn't spend any money on it. If you have rental property, it's the same thing. About the same ratio. Somewhere between 1 and 5% you're going to spend. And technically, whatever income after all those home repairs and all the expenses that you have, the payments and the, all those things that you have to do with it, taxes, you shouldn't spend all of that money as your income, only half of it. The other half should be kept in reserve in case you need a big problem. I know of a couple that had they had some money set aside and they bought a home that needed a lot of work, and they were working on it as a couple, and they were up in years, but they were still doing it. That's what they'd done all their life. And the guy who used to live there kind of got the idea that this other guy that he didn't like was going to move into that house. So he said, I'm not going to let him have my propane. I moved out of there with a bunch of propane in the tank. I'm going to go, whenever they go to lunch, I'm going to go let it out.
Oh, God.
So he let out all the propane out of the tank. It was just whistling away. Woo-hoo. Enough of it drifted over to that house where there was a spark, and it scorched that tree that was above the house. It burnt the house down. Okay? They saved that money to buy that home. They worked hard, put money into that house. They were probably 3/4 away remodeling it, and it burned down. That's what you don't spend all your money living off of that income. You keep half of that income money and set it aside. It's like, okay, this is in case we have some tough time happen.
And it's hard to do. We're bad about that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm the problem. I go a lot of different directions. So what I'm leading you through is the change in thinking. Is it's your thought process that puts you into this slavery where you have to buy a real expensive home just to look mediocre. And your neighbor really doesn't care about you. Not really. Because there's another neighbor over in that poor neighborhood. They don't have to be in a rough neighborhood where everybody's shooting everybody at night. We're talking about a rural area, somewhere out of town where you have to drive in. Some place they did not spend the money on maintaining it and tore it up, and you go in and take care of it. You get it for a better price. Okay, I know I'm harping and going in circles. I just wanted to say those things. And I wish all of you well. So,
we just disconnected.
how?
It's going through the internet.
What does that have to do with anything?
The Droid Cam is going through the internet
So why did it disconnect?
because the internet is slowing down.